Today we look at Psalms 100, 101, and 102. So we're, 2/3 of the way through the Psalms after today. And Psalm 100 is a hymn of praise, a hymn of thanksgiving. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship with gladness. Come with singing. Know that the Lord is he that made us. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. And just, those reminders of who God is, who we are, but, praise to God. And then verse 4 is an invitation. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. And again, that give thanks to him is an invitation. It's not a demand. I mean, it's, giving thanks to God is, something we really should do. But it's, it's not a command, but it's a response. It's a faithful response to God's goodness and everything. Give thanks to him, bless his name. And then the promise at the end, that reminder, for the Lord is good, his love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. Just that eternalness of God, plus the blessings of who God is, and that reminder of God's faithfulness, that, even though, the Israelites often felt that they were abandoned by God, and sometimes, as we read, they were. God turned his back on them because of their sin, because of their falling away, because of their not listening. And sometimes, today's world, there's a lot of people that don't listen to God as well, don't know God. But, this psalm is that praising God, an invitation to worship God, and that reminder of God's faithfulness. Psalm 101 is a psalm of David again. And, even though quite a few, like after 82 or somewhere in there, it said, David is done. Well, we know that that's not true. But so this psalm is David's promise to rule fairly, and to honor God, to follow God. I will sing of loyalty and justice. To you, O Lord, I will sing. I will study the way that is blameless. When shall I attain it? You'll study it. When shall he return? None of us is going to have this blameless life, but, it's worth pursuing. And this is what David said he would do. He said, I will walk with integrity of heart within my house. I will not set my eyes on anything that is base. And as I read that earlier this morning, I thought base, home base, or first base, or, and when I said home base, I wasn't meaning in baseball, but, home is our base. But then again, a lot of, base is something that is not good, and this is what David is saying here. I won't set my eyes on anything that is base, that is unclean, that is unworthy, that is derogatory, and that word base has, more meanings than just, that square plate, that's in baseball, or, our home, our standing place. And then the second part of verse 3, I hate the work of those who fall away. It shall not cling to me. I'm not going to let what others do determine who I am. I'm not going to follow the wrong crowd. I'm not going to give in to the peer pressure of, doing what's wrong. Perverseness of heart shall be far from me, and I will know nothing of evil. And this is the intent. This is the hope that we will, be able to lead this life that is good, and that we stay away from that evil. And then it goes on with more of, he's speaking this pledge to God. I won't be, verse 5, I'm just going to add, I won't be, and then it says, one who secretly slanders a neighbor that I will destroy. And I won't be one who gives a haughty look and an arrogant heart. I won't tolerate those things, and again, it's, to stand for what is true, to stand up for the oppressed and the lonely and the brokenhearted. And so this is, King David saying to God, this is the way I want to rule. And as we read it, it should be us saying to God, this is the way I want to lead my life. I will look with favor upon the faithful in the land, so they may live with me, and whoever walks in the way that is blameless shall minister to me. So you know, it isn't us having to do it all, but other people minister to us as well. And I think about that, you know, especially as a pastor, I'm expected to minister to others. I'm supposed to bring good news. I'm supposed to, you know, give words of encouragement. But on that flip side of that, all of you do that same thing for me. You know, you encourage me, you say thanks, and you know, all of that is your ministering to me, you know, making what I do of some value and uplifting me in all of those ways as well. So, you know, it works both ways, and that's one of the things that King David is saying here. He says, no one who practices deceit will remain in my house. You know, I'm not going to put up with that. If they can't be good people, I mean, I don't want them around me. And then the last verse is again a reminder, you know, morning by morning I will destroy the wicked of the land, cutting off the evildoers of the city. I will protect the innocents. I will provide a safe place for my people to live and to be able to enjoy a life of peace and harmony, you know, rather than disruption and questioning and all of that, but a place of belonging, a place of protection. Psalm 102 is again a prayer of someone who is afflicted, and we find that, you know, hear my prayer, let my cry come, don't hide from me, incline your ear to me. You know, so he's first of all asking for God to pay attention, to see who I am. And then, you know, verse 3, my days pass away like smoke. And I think about that yesterday morning. I think it was, I came out and after dinner, I could smell smoke in the air. And, you know, it had come from a long way away, but smoke moves it and it dissipates. It goes up into the sky and it dissipates. And that's, my days pass that way. I mean, here we are, August 18th already of the year 2026. And I think about that, you know, and, you know, 26 years ago, we were worried about what's going to happen in the year 2000. Are the computers, you know, but here we are. I mean, how many of those days have just seemed to, and they're gone, you know, and that's, each day seems to be like that. And then my bones are like, burned like a furnace. I mean, we are, I have a fever, you know, I'm sick, I need this. You know, my days are passing like smoke, but I have a fever. My heart is stricken and withered. I'm too wasted to eat my bread. I'm worn out, God. I'm worn out. I'm weary with all of the expectations on me. And we all feel that way, especially we can remember, you know, when we were probably parents of a young child or of pressures on the job. You know, we feel like we're just inundated with everything. And where do we turn now? And how do we get the energy to get through this day, you know, to look for tomorrow? And then because of my loud groaning, my bones cling to my skin. I'm like an owl in the wilderness. I lie awake, I'm lonely like a lonely bird on a housetop. All day my enemies taunt me. I mean, this is despair. This is feeling down. This is in need of help, in need of reinforcements, in need of someone to say, you're doing good. You can handle it. You know, and the best thing is that we know that when we get into those depths, you know, that tomorrow is another day, or the next hour is another hour, and it can get better. And not only that, but God walks with us each and every day. We read that, you know, very much so in the last two Psalms. He says, in verse 9, he said, I eat ashes like bread and mingle tears with my drink because of your indignation and anger, for you have lifted me up and thrown me aside. And again, feeling lost, abandoned, you know, feeling that God isn't there. And this, you know, could it very well be the Israelite people in many different times, many different instances. My days are like an evening shadow. I wither like grass. You know, this is, again, that despair and loneliness. But then, verse 12, but you, O Lord, are enthroned forever. Your name endures for all generations. You, Lord God, are timeless. This is what, you know, they say, you are timeless. And then the confidence he has in God. You rise up and have compassion on Zion, for it is time to favor it. The appointed time has come. You know, reminding that, you know, he will have compassion on Zion, because God is faithful. And then, now is the time, Lord. This is the time that your people really need you. Your servants hold its stones dear. Have pity on its dust. The nations will fear the name of the Lord. God, when you do what you have promised to do. And then, just to go to the end of this, verse 26 again, it's God is timeless. It's yesterday. He is yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He says, they will perish, but you endure. They will wear out like a garment. You change them like clothing. They pass away, but you are the same, and your years have no end. God is eternal, and he is eternally our loving and gracious God.